It's just you. Are those your sunglasses? All right, let's get everybody in here. Let's go. Let's go. Jackson. No, I was. Is there anybody in there? Okay. We're singing last. But thanks for being ready. Second row on up. You can sit on the sides, but you can sit the second row. It's fine. You guys can stay on the second row. Who does this belong to? It actually says International Children's Bible. Somebody left this on the van. Who does this belong to? I have two. This one's yours? Don't apologize. I just saved it for you. There you go. So whose is this? Anybody? That's Kingston. Nobody knows whose this is? So nobody claims this. This one? Whose is this? Oh. Okay. All right. We'll see when it gets here. All right, so we're going to do things a little differently tonight. I'm going to, this is the blue mic. I don't know if it's on. Yes, it's on. Good. This one you're using? Okay. So raise your hand if you went to Young Christians Weekend this past weekend. Okay, so several of you. So I might pick on you if nobody wants to answer, but I'm going to ask a couple questions. And if you would like to respond, I need you to raise your hand, okay? So Young Christians Weekend, it's pretty much every year. Typically, it's late March, early April, and we go down to Branson, Missouri. And I kind of have a general plan every year. It's we go down, we drive, we go to Springfield, we go to Bass Pro, and just kind of get out of the van for a little bit. Then we get down, check into our rooms, go into the city, go get something to eat, go to Walmart, get breakfast food, and then go back to the dorms. And when we get to the condos, then everybody gets settled, and then we have a devotion Friday night and Saturday night. Saturday morning we get up, everybody eats breakfast, and we head out about 9:30 to go to Silver Dollar City, and we spend all day at Silver Dollar City till 6 o'clock. At 6 o'clock, we get in line to go in to listen to a concert and a speaker, and we typically get back to the condos about 9, start to settle down, have another devotion. And then Sunday morning, same kind of routine, get up, have breakfast, go to the park, and we're there till 2, and then we drive home. So I think we had a really good trip overall. I think everyone was, for the most part, well-behaved. The guys' room, for whatever reason, this year was a little stinkier than previous years. No, I've been there for most of them, and all but one, actually. And I'm telling you, it was hard for me to breathe when we did our devotions in the guys' room, which is why we moved it to the girls' room, night number 2. Yeah, it smelled great, and they actually prepared. I mean, they put the chairs out for us. They were ready. We had one young man. I'm not going to mention Ian's name that received a black eye wrestling. I'm looking at his eye. It's not black, but it's abused. So the guys were getting a little rowdy. I think the girls were just doing girl things. I don't know. But here's the thing. I'm going to ask a few questions. I want you to give me some answers. This is more to see who might be interested going next year. So what was your most favorite part of Young Christians Weekend? Raise your hand if you would like to answer that question. I can pick on you. Most favorite part. Talking to the mic. Most favorite part.
I was surprised. I don't know a lot of Christian bands, but the concert was pretty fun.
Which one?
The first one.
Okay. That was your favorite part?
Yeah, it was pretty great.
Okay. Who else wants to answer that question? Come on. Hallie does. What was your favorite part, Hallie?
Riding roller coasters.
Which one?
Powder cake.
Really?
Yeah.
Isn't that the wooden roller coaster?
No, that's Outrun.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah,
But
okay, that's fine.
powder cake is the one that goes like super fast.
Super fast. All right. What else? Anybody else? Oh, you got another thing? You can't have more than one favorite thing. What's your second favorite thing?
I feel like we made a lot of good friends.
You did?
Yeah, like we all got to know each other better. Well,
Anybody want to volunteer who that is? It's him. Well, so that is part of the trip. You know, when you go down on these types of trips, you get to know people better than you do just, running around in youth. So, don't pay attention to Grayson. Well, you can pay attention to Grayson, but what Grayson's doing tonight is he's helping us work on our video for our shareholders, and I'll tell you more about that here in a little bit. So, all right, so what did you learn from a godly perspective at Young Christians Weekend? Somebody tell me. Who? Come on. I can pick on you. What did you learn, and I'm talking about a godly perspective from Young Christians Weekend. You want me to pick on you? Lily? Would you like to share something? Here, no. Talk on the mic.
I kind of learned about where I wanted to be with God and like how to strengthen my relationship with Him.
Okay, that's good. Okay. Who else? Come on, I need somebody else. I know. They weren't this shy the whole trip. How about Anna Grace?
What did I learn?
What did you learn from a godly perspective?
I noticed that like a lot of the people were a lot different at this amusement mart.
Amusement park?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I feel like everybody was Christian and they were just like more kind and wanted to talk to you instead of like Disney where everybody's like uptight and rude.
Yeah.
So that was sweet to see.
So, yeah, okay, that's good. And not everybody there was a Christian, but there was a lot of them there. I actually met a lot of people standing in lines, right? We did the pyramid thing in line, so we got to be friends with a lot of people that you're standing there with for an hour and a half, right? Young Christians Weekend is a fun weekend. I try to keep it as inexpensive as possible, so pretty much anybody can go. And I'm going to tell you, if anybody ever can't afford to go, all you got to do is tell me. We'll make sure you can go. So next year, be prepared around late March, early April to go to Young Christians Weekend. So we're doing things a little bit in reverse tonight, but I'm going to do announcements now. I need somebody that's a drummer. It'd be good if they were experienced, but I can teach you. Are you a drummer? Okay. What kind of percussion? So you can play the drums? Kind of? Okay. Do you play the drums? Do you really? Yo. Can you, if I go play something on the keys, will you accompany me on the drums? Let's see what you got. Well, no, there's no notes. You just got to get a beat. That's all. Okay. Let's see what we're going to do. A quick. All right. Here you go. Come on up. Well, that's okay. Practice makes perfect, all right? Have a seat. Pick up those headphones. Put them on. And I'm going to, get in your way there for a second. All right. I'm going to go on the keys. You'll be able to hear me play. Go ahead and play something. Let me see what you got. Okay, I'm going to play the keys. Let's see if you can keep up with me. You ready? Can you hear? Here you go. Can you hear this? Can you hear them? All I need to know is if you can hear them. Yes or no? Okay. Hang on. So, on that little box next to you, number 3. Press number 3, and the little all the way above 15 and 16 is another little round thing. Turn it all the way up. Better? Can you hear me? All right, here we go. I just want to see if you can keep start with the bass and make sure you can keep keep the beat with me. Here we go. You ready? Anything to it? Okay, I'm putting him on the spot because this is tough. Who? Anybody else want to? Okay, all right, let's give him another try. Can you play the drums? All right, let's try. You want to try? I'll give you. Go ahead. Yeah. Let's line them up. I need a drummer. I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying I want to see what we got, and then we got band practice on Mondays. I need somebody to come and show up on. I need a new drummer because I don't have one right now. Can you hear me? Hey, Grayson, go up there and move that, this stand, push it down. Yep, you can try. Can you hear me? Let me hear you play the bass drum. Get your bass drum going. Okay, here we go. You ready? I'm going to make it simple. You got the beat? Let's hear the bass. Anything to it? Play something else. Is that all you got? Hey, you kept the beat. All right, let's give Kingston a shot. to try? Maddie, you want to try? Well, I told all my troubles goodbye. Goodbye to each tear and each sigh. This world where I roam will not be my home. I'm bound for that land in the sky. All right. I need Maddie behind the vocals. All right, so here's the deal. All right, we're done with auditions. I need a drummer. So if anybody's interested in being a drummer and wants to come and practice, we practice at 5:30 on Mondays. I've always had a drummer. This is really the first time in 12 years that I've not had a drummer. So he didn't quit. He just aged out. He got old. I mean, I'm old, but I'm still here, so I don't know what that's all about. What's that? No. So anyway, I need to get a drummer that's regular. I'm also looking, we're kind of short on singers right now, too. So if you can sing or if you can play a guitar, whatever you can do. If you have a musical talent that you would like to, if you have a musical talent that you would like to share with the group, then come see me and we'll talk about it, all right? So here's we're going to end, typically on Monday nights, we start with 3 songs. We have announcements in a game. I'll speak, and then we end with 3 songs. That's a typical Monday night. So if this is your first time here, you got to come back next week to see a typical Monday night. I'm doing things a little differently tonight because we just had a very long weekend. Not everybody is back because we're exhausted. We didn't get back till about 7 o'clock last night. So tonight, I am going to finish my announcements, and then I'm going to speak, and we're going to close with a little bit of worship time, okay? So I got a request. During the message is not the time to leave the auditorium, all right? You guys are all old enough to hold, you can go, to hold your bladder for less than an hour, okay? So that's my request. If you need to go during music or announcements or the game. But otherwise, I want you to stay in the room, all right? Matter of fact, I'm going to throat punch anybody that walks out during a message. It's not the message. You can go. I don't play favorites. Yeah.
But what if I forget to go during the game and then I'm singing music so I can't go during the game?
Then you pre-plan. Pre-plan. Well, except for Maddie. Maddie is the one that we have to make exceptions for. All right, so here's the announcements. The next thing coming up is shareholders dinner, which is who has glass in here? Shareholders dinner. Shareholders is what helps us fund everything we do. So that's why he is making it a recording, because we're going to be sharing this on Sunday for the next couple weeks, so we can, on the 22nd, we're going to have a lot of adults in here that we're showing them what youth group is all about. So I hope everybody will show up for that event. This past weekend, we went to Branson. I spent approximately, I'm adding it up real quick, I spent approximately $7,500 to take 25 people to Branson. I collected less than $2,000. So the church that sponsors us paid the rest, okay? So that's a pretty stinking good deal. And that'll happen again next year, so as long as you guys are in the youth group and you want to go to Young Christians Weekend, it can be a pretty inexpensive trip. So shareholders is coming up April 22nd. May 20th, youth night at the park. We're playing games outside. I'll have hot dogs and chips and drinks for everybody. So plan on May 20th. It's just kind of a end of school year celebration. In June, we have the next event, and I don't have a date for it yet, and quite frankly, I'm thinking about moving it to July because I'm going to Cancun in the later part of June, and I don't want to be broken in any way. But in June is when we typically will have our mud volleyball tournament. How many of you like to play volleyball? How many of you like to play in the mud? Combining them is a whole lot of fun. So mud volleyball tournament is in June. I'm tired of promoting this, but I've never lost. So I'd like you to bring a team that can beat my team, okay? All right, so then after that, we actually need to have a meeting pretty soon with some of our youth mentors and influencers so we can plan the second half of the year events. We've done things in the past like golf tournaments and bowling tournaments. I'm open to, actually, how many of you ever played pickleball? Do you like it? So I've never played it. So I would like to play it, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, if we picked up every chair in this room, we could probably fit 2 pickleball courts. And I'm thinking about having a pickleball tournament. Would that be fun? Yeah, I think so too. So that's something that I would like to put on the agenda. I'm stalling now because I'm done with my announcements, and I'm waiting for everybody to come out of the bathroom because we lost about 5 people. Well, the 2 young men left. I don't know if they came back yet. Okay, here they come. Anybody else in the bathroom? Okay. You might have to... You going to close those 2? Okay. All right, so my message tonight actually came to me rather interestingly as I feel it was literally delivered to me this weekend. Okay? So and it's going to be an unusual message, okay? The title of my message tonight is A Sermon to One. Tonight's message is very specifically to one of you. Very specifically to one person that's sitting in the room right now. Okay? I'm not going to tell you who it is. Maybe that person will figure it out and come and tell me afterwards if that was for them. I have evidence to support this sermon to one. But here's the deal. This message is not just for one of you. It's for all of you. Every single one of you in here can get something out of it, and I think you should. This is very relative to who you are, your age, all the stuff that you're going on, that's going on in your life. So I want you to pay attention. We did have, 2 specific devotions this weekend that was talking about God's intention in your life and how intentional we need to be in pursuing a relationship with God, okay? So for the rest of this time, I need your focus. I don't need anybody to leave. I don't want any distractions. Is that fair to ask? Okay. So, yes. You're kidding me, right? If I can hold it, I think everybody in here can hold it. At my age, that's a problem, At least I've been told that's supposed to be a problem. Anyway, all right. Wow. Yeah, they pick on me. Mean? What? Hey, did I get mad? No? I can dish it out. I can take it. It's okay. I had a very, very unwelcoming or unbecoming photo taken of me this weekend. That is all around. And yeah, you probably did, because what I was doing was I was adjusting my backpack, and apparently it made things look a lot worse than they already do. I'm not going to mention Milana's name, but she's the one that took it. Right next to me. She was standing right here, and she took the picture. Oh, I mean, I have, see this right here? This is what you call this is what you call a dad bod. Here, let me have that. So I have a dad bod. I'm willing to admit that, right? And I'm going to show you. I'm not ashamed of who I am. I can take it, right? But just remember, if I can take it, you got to let me dish it out, all right? Just remember that. So I'm standing in line waiting to go on the cave tour when I was adjusting my backpack, and this sucker right here was, I don't know what happened, but it just got all out of sorts, right? And Milana thought, this is a great time to take a photo of my youth pastor and share it with everybody in the group, okay? I had strangers came up to me and say, hey, I saw that. No, they didn't either. I'm kidding. So look at that sucker. No. I don't need to make it bigger. Oh, my bad. There you go. No. You should have had your phone on you. Now look at that. Milana proudly, you don't know me well. I'm kidding. Look at that sucker. That is embarrassing. Wow. Yeah, thank you. That's exactly what I said. And you know what she said? She's the only one that was brave enough to respond to it, and she said, oh my. Made me feel good about myself. Oh yeah, it was a competition. Let's embarrass the youth pastor. Yeah, let's do that. All right, I'm starting over. This is, seriously, I am not, I can't exaggerate this because it's exactly true. This message is specific to one person tonight, and I hope that it makes sense to you. I hope it makes sense to the rest of you as well. I hope you can benefit from it. So again, a sermon to one. The first part of this, I want to make a statement that there's not a person in this room that God does not have a plan for your life. So I'm going to tell you right from the start, you need to give everything to God and let Him be in control. I would encourage you to take notes. If you're not, I would encourage you to put some of the scripture references in your phone or something, okay? Because I feel a lot of this is very pertinent to all of you. So give everything to God, let Him be in control. So this past weekend, we spent some good, very close, right, Milana? Quality time together. We probably learned a few additional things about each other that we might not have known before. In our devotions, and what the speaker on Saturday night was talking about is how we are directed to trust God and to give God control. We are directed. God tells us to do that. Okay? He says, lean on me, right? Let me help you. So we also learned that we need to pursue a relationship with Him. Now, while this message is a sermon to one, I will say this should be a guide to all of you. So here are the topics. I think there are 5. Yes. Here are the topics I'm going to discuss. I'm going to go through them as quickly as possible. Number 1, managing your dating relationship. That's number 1. I'm going to talk about that probably longer than most things tonight. Number 2, who is in control of your life? You or God? Number 3, what do you do when you're stressed? How do you handle stress? Okay? Number 4, processing the fear of letting go, or more importantly, how to trust God. And number 5, when to actually care what others think. Managing others' opinions of you. Okay? I think all 5 of these areas are things that probably are on your radar at some point. So let's start. Let's just jump into it. Managing your dating relationship. I found it interesting. I haven't asked questions. I meant to yesterday. I didn't get a chance to. But part of Young Christians Weekend is going and meeting other young Christians, right? So when you're there, you're able to, stand in line with people for long times, in a long period of time, get to know them. So it was no shock to me that by day 2 of being in the park, people had made other friends, okay? Now, when I say that, it's not just, other friends. I think there are some that... What are you nodding for? Where am I going? That made really good friends. Probably got their phone numbers and probably have been texting them and communicating with them. Now, the sad part of that is they are probably don't live anywhere close to you. Why are you blushing? I think you're blushing. Where's he from? Oklahoma? Yeah, so what was really funny to me, and you are, Maribel and Lexi were 2 that I saw. They were twins all weekend, for the record. And oh, no, I'm not saying anything bad about that. And so they were walking through the park, and all of a sudden, me and Leah were walking, and here they come. And they were twins, and the 2 young men that were standing on either side of them, they could have been twins. So maybe just fit. I don't know. Anyway, managing your dating relationship. When you guys are at this stage in life, we had 13-year-olds up to, early 20s on this trip. And I'm going to give you some very helpful tips. I hope that you pay attention on how to manage your dating life. Because I'm going to tell you, I'm going to say this, and percentages are against you marrying somebody that you're dating right now. It just typically doesn't happen. If you're in high school and you're dating somebody, now small town, the percentages actually will go up a little bit, but dating relationships, the person that you date in your teenage years often will not be the person that you end up marrying. It's just statistics, okay? Dating will be a part of everyone's life at some point. Instructions for dating can be a bit challenging. Here's why. We're all raised differently. Some parents provide advice, some don't. Some parents are more strict than others less strict. So what are you to do when you are put in a situation to not only date, but also begin the process to determine if someone is right for you? I think for some of you, dating probably doesn't take a lot of planning or thought. You just go out with somebody. You don't have a plan or a purpose. They are just attractive to you, so you choose to go on a date with them. So it always, well, I'm not going to say always, but I would say the majority of the time it starts with a physical attraction. They have to look good to you, right? Am I right? Not if I'm right. What'd you say? Mm-hmm. Yeah, no one wants to go out with someone that you're not attracted to, right? I mean, come on. Help me out here. If you see that, now, I'll tell myself, because I can't tell stories about you guys. When I was a teenager, oh my gosh, I'm going to share this with you. This is probably worse than that photo that just got passed around, okay? When I was raised my dad was a preacher, right? So I was raised in a pastor's home, so extremely conservative. I never got advice on dating, okay? I'm going to ask a question. I'm not going to ask, you don't have to answer for yourself. I just want, this is a generic poll, okay? How old should you be before you have the first kiss? How old? 14, she says. When you feel comfortable. Come on, let's go. What do you think? 16. Anybody else have a number? Yo. 13. Okay. Yeah, all right. Yeah. Jackson? 7? What'd you say? 8. 80. Okay. So I think it's different for everybody, right? I think it's also how mature you are. Yes, ma'am. I think it's how mature you are. I think it's how well you know the person. I'm not a proponent of kissing on the first date. Okay. No, I'm just saying the times have changed since I was a teenager, right? It's a lot different. So I'm gonna tell myself, you guys listening? When I was 14 years old, I had a girlfriend. Her name was Shelly. And she was cute to me. I mean, I don't. Matter of fact, I can't even picture her in my brain right now. How bad is that? But I'm pretty old, though. Keep that in mind. I also lose my car keys a lot. No, I don't. I'm kidding. So I was 14 years old, and I had this young girlfriend. She was also 14 years old, and we had to pick her up for church. So we would go pick her up, bring her to church, and I remember my mom, because I wasn't getting any advice. So I remember going up and asking my mom. You ready for this? Mom, this is a true story. I went up and asked my mom, Mom, am I old enough? Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm going to go to a young lady, so this is not awkward for Hurricane. I went up to my mom, and I said, Mom, am I old enough to kiss? Did you? So I'm going to be honest and tell you my mom was not prepared for that question, right? I remember she was at the kitchen, sink, and she was cleaning, and I went up and I was talking to my mom. I said, hey, Mom, she's just wiping this pan or dish or whatever it was, and all I remember is I asked her, am I old enough to kiss? And all of a sudden, she really got to scrubbing that dish. I think it made her really uncomfortable. And her answer did not help me at all. She didn't say no. She says, I don't know. Because she was totally unprepared to have that conversation. I determined that 14 was old enough. Okay? Now, it was... Shelly Cottle, I kissed her one time only. I'm not getting so specific, all right? So I kissed Shelly one time, 14 years old. My point to this is, when we are attracted to somebody, there is a physical attraction there, right? And there are rules of engagement that we need to follow. And unfortunately, you guys don't have the best instructions today. Social media and the world is corrupting us to devalue godly principles. You should not have sex before marriage. Period. You should respect the young lady you go out with and the young man. I have a specific rule that I share with all of my young people, and it's this. Ready? You should never date anyone you wouldn't consider marrying. You should never date it. I mean, obviously you want someone to be attractive to you. What's attractive to you might not be attractive to your best friend. That's okay. It's to you. But then there are values beyond that, because I'm going to tell you, looks change. But what's inside should be consistent. Just because someone is physically attractive is not a reason to date them. There is so much more to a relationship. And quite frankly, the depth of your relationship is more dependent on your beliefs than on your appearance. Did you hear what I just said? Your relationship is more dependent on what you believe than on your appearance. How many of you know what unequally yoked means? Tucker, what does it mean? Okay. 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 Anybody else? So I want to say something, and I want this entire group to hear me when I say this, okay? Because I want to share something that it's, in my opinion, it can be a very delicate topic. Okay? I am so glad that you're here. And I'm glad you brought your friends. Because there are a lot of churches that have trouble having mixed races in the building. Am I right? And I don't have a racist bone in my body. You know what I'm prejudiced against? Ignorance. You know what I'm prejudiced against people that don't value people for who they are and what they stand for. I'm prejudiced against people that take advantage of everything else. So I'm glad right now we have a group that we can be comfortable being here. And you enjoy coming, and we're all together, because unequally yoked has nothing to do with the color of your skin. Is that fair? When I was growing up, and I'm not picking on you. I hope you know that. When I was growing up, that was part of what was taught. Don't mix races. I'm being honest. You know that's also biblical to a certain degree. God talked about the Jewish people not intermarrying with a lot of different groups back then. Now, it had nothing to do with color. It had everything to do with faith and their values. So when we're talking about being unequally yoked, it's not about the color of your skin. It's more about where do you stand on your beliefs. So I'm going to give you a really good definition of being unequally yoked. In the Bible, unequally yoked refers to a situation where a Christian is bound to the actions and decisions of people who have different values and purposes than Jesus. Is that fair? Unequally yoked is when you are running with somebody that doesn't believe in God, that doesn't value who God is. Second Corinthians 6:14 says this, "Don't team up with those who are unbelievers. How can righteousness be a partner with wickedness? How can light live with darkness?" When you first become interested in someone, there is a lot of emotion surrounding the interest. Do you agree? How many of you have ever been on a date, a literal date? Raise your hand if you've been on a date. Jackson, you said 80. How can you be on a date? I'm kidding. So we have a lot of people in the room that have been on a date. So here, I'm going to tell you, I remember when I was, how many of you get butterflies in your stomach, that first date? Anybody? Yeah? You get a little nervous? I did. How many of you have ever suffered from what is popularly known as puppy love? You know what that is? That feeling that when you are separated after that first couple dates and all of a sudden you can't be away from that person and you feel emotionally unstable. You know what I'm saying? I did. I was a wimp. No, I'm kidding. we can get so attached, and there's a lot of emotion around that relationship that we establish. Emotion that is more physical than spiritual. Agreed? Okay? We have to make sure that we're not focused so much on the emotion of a physical relationship or a physical appearance and more on how does this person align with me, okay? What you got to do is figure out, what that puppy love or that initial emotion that you have will slowly begin to dissipate as you get to know each other. Because what you're going to find out is that person that you think you're in love with all of a sudden has bad habits. Maybe they fart a lot. Specifically, maybe she farts a lot. It happens. I'm not pointing Lily, but I'm just saying. Perhaps they don't have the best hygiene. I'm just being honest with you guys. Or you know what? It could go beyond that. Maybe they hang out with people that you don't want to hang out with. Maybe the people that are their friends are not the kind of people that you want to be friends with. Bottom line, make sure you're talking to God about them. Make sure you are investigating what their relationship with God is like. Then you have to do this. Then you have to personally go to God and ask His opinion. You can. It has to be part of the process. Go to God, ask what His opinion is, and more importantly, ask for His permission to move forward in the relationship. I know this is kind of a heavy topic, but I'm telling you guys, it's going to save you a lot of time. If you do this, God will direct your steps. Be sure to listen to Him and not your emotions. Because see, what happens is we ask God a question and we get a silly answer from a best friend thinking, oh, that's God speaking through my best friend. Well, it's not always the case. Yes, ma'am. I'm going to tell you, you will get an answer. But it's not going to necessarily be where God's going to look at you and say, hey, he's not for you. What it might be is your mom or your dad or a trusted relative or friend might come to you and say, I don't know if this is the right person for you. And see, what happens is when we hear that might be God using that person to direct you, but then we get all defensive, right? Because that person that just told you that might not be someone that you value or put trust in, but we've got to allow God to speak to us, and He will. Here's the deal. Don't get too deep in a relationship before you have God's approval. Is that fair? You cannot do it. The moment you do, you're going to get hooked into a relationship that's going to cost you time and relationship with God. Yes, ma'am. Go back one slide, Roy. I can send this to you if you want me to. In the Bible, unequally yoked refers to a situation where a Christian is bound to the actions and decisions of people who have different values and purposes than Jesus. Do you got it? Why don't you screenshot it? You have a camera on that phone? Okay. All right, so I am going to go to number 2. Who is in control of your life? This is topic number 2 for this person that I'm specifically speaking to tonight. Okay? Topic number 2. Raise your hand if you're a control freak. That you like to be in control. I'm not a control freak. You don't like to. Okay, let me ask you different. Raise your hand if you feel the need to be in control. Okay? I think this is a very natural thing to want to be in control. And I also feel that we should be someone that is in control. Okay? Now, I want to qualify that a little bit. When we're in control, that means that we are doing what we feel God is calling us to do, and we're very intentional about it, right? We're in control. Sometimes we get out of control when Satan trips us up, and we decide to verge off of the path that God has for us. Okay? Being in control is not a bad thing, but being a control freak can be. There are times to be in control and to allow God to be in control. What situations can you have in your life where you feel you need to be in control? Give me an example of an area in your life where you feel you need to be in control. Somebody tell me. Go. Driving, that's a good one. What do you got? When your brothers are driving your car. Yes, sir. School, okay? Studies, right? That's you. That's nobody else. You can't go into the test and then pray, God, I haven't studied, but please let me get an A, right? You got to be in control. So, I'll give you an example from this weekend. When you're in the Marvel Cave, how many of you have ever been in the cave at Silverado City? Anybody? Nobody went? Just me? Holy cow. Well, you guys went. So when you're in the cave, there's a small part that's about 7 foot long when you have to be able to crawl literally under this table for 7 feet because that's how tight it is. So, one of the things, I don't get claustrophobia. Anybody suffer from that? Claustrophobic? Okay. My wife does. And that's not funny, but we'll be on vacation, and we'll be in a hotel, and we'll push the button for the elevator, and the elevator doors will open, and there will be one person on the elevator, and we don't get on the elevator because there's too many people. Just us two and her, right? She really struggles with that. We will take the stairs before we get on a crowded elevator. Matter of fact, it's been when we've been the only two on the elevator doors open. 3 people walk on. If it's our floor or not, we're walking off. Because she can't handle that. So when you're in the bottom of this huge cave, there is no fast way out. It's an hour-long walk from one end to the next, and once you get down there, I mean, if it started raining really heavily, there are times when the bottom parts of this cave would flood. So, if you had to be in a hurry to get out, that would not be a comfortable position to be in because you feel the need to be in control. So how do you feel when you're not in control in those types of situations? Exhausted. Your anxiety level wears you out, right? Because you're anxious. You begin to struggle with that type of emotion, right? I think we often suffer from anxiety when we're not in control. As an example, I think that people that are claustrophobic sees this and this escalate when they are not in a situation when they can control and get out of quickly, right? We all have areas that we need to be in control of. I wrote a few. One of them is your work ethic. You need to be in control of your work ethic. Back to school, right? Or the job that you have. If you don't have a good work ethic, you're not going to keep your job. Okay? You got to have a good work ethic. You can control how you decide to treat others. Are you going to be kind? Are you going to be loving? Are you going to be supportive? How do you treat others? You can be in control of that. You can be in control of your career path. What do you want to be when you grow up? We all have goals and dreams, but you are the only one that's in control of that, right? My advice to you is very simple in regard to the question of being in control. In all things, in everything in your life, learn to trust God completely. Learn to trust God completely. Proverbs 3:6 says, "Seek his will in all you do, and he will show you which path to take." If you trust God completely, then your dating relationships will improve. Your desire to be in control of all things will change to where you want God to be in control of all things, where you're just listening to Him and letting Him guide you in the path that He's already prepared for you. This means that you need to take a path that trusts God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit. John 14:1 says, "Don't let your hearts be troubled. Trust in God and trust also in me." This is Jesus talking. We got to trust God. We got to trust Jesus. And if we do that first and we put them in control, then our level of having to be in control isn't as necessary. You know, when I don't stress about things typically. There are times when if I get tired physically, things might bother me a little bit more. But overall, I'm pretty even keel. But I do know that when I'm tired, and if there's life stressors, that I tend to lean more on my own judgment than God's judgment. That's lazy on my part. We got to learn to trust God in all things. Now, the first part of the scripture is where we often find ourselves, troubled. Don't let your hearts be troubled. Trust God and trust also in me. When there are things that are troubling us, that are bothering us, that's when we might feel out of control. Jesus. You're welcome. So Isaac can help me with this. I'm going to use him as an example. We have to condition ourselves to fully trust God. We have to condition. So everybody that went to Young Christians Weekend this weekend, we walked a lot. Did anybody have any sore calves? Walking up all those hills, you're not used to that type of constant walking, right? So we're not conditioned for that, right? So we have to condition ourselves to fully trust in God. Conditioning is important to most of pretty much everything we do in life. It's physical fitness. So how long have you been pumping iron? 3.5 years. So 3.5 years ago, what was your top? When you first started, what was the most you could bench? The bar. So a 45-pound bar, right? How much can you bench now? 265. I can do 265, just not all at the same time. But you got to condition yourself to that, right? It doesn't happen on the first attempt. So physical fitness is a way that we have to condition ourselves. Education, Alex said this is part of conditioning. You don't just wake up one day and start studying for a test that you have to take that day. You have to condition yourself to study and read and prepare and take notes, right? You have to condition. You don't just wake up with that ability. You have to condition yourself to learn and educate yourself. And you have to condition yourself on how you manage your relationships. One of the things that I do with ease is love unconditionally. There is not a person in this room that I wouldn't do whatever I can to help. Whether this is the first time you're here or I've known you for 10 years and you've annoyed me for 10 years, I still love you. Lily. I love unconditionally. And here's how I know that to be true, because I know a lot about you all. Not all of you, but there's some of you that I have a lot of information about. Some that I've observed, some that I've been told. Not all of it's good, you understand? But I still choose to love you. I'm not here to pick and choose. What I want to do is love you unconditionally, so that way, hopefully, something I say or something I do can influence you towards God in a relationship with Him. So the relationships that I have here are established not just for Monday nights, but throughout the week. Many of you will text me throughout the week asking me tough questions. I have this situation. How do I handle it? Will you pray with me about this? And it's always yes, I will. And I will always text you back. Relationships are something that we have to condition ourselves to handle. All of them, everything requires conditioning and preparation. So does allowing God to be in control of your life. Did you hear what I just said? Allowing God to be in control of your life requires conditioning. Isaac, you have to allow God to control your life. Today, tomorrow, the next day. It's not going to be as easy the first day. Second day, you can lift more than the bar. Third day, you get my point? We condition ourselves in our relationship with each other, but we also do that with God. How do you do that? I shared this on this weekend. I'm not going to give you all the things, but I shared, you got to pray. You got to read your Bible. You got to surround yourself with people that are going to be positive mentors for you. They're going to drag you towards Christ, not away from Him. Make an effort to condition your responses to allow God to be part of your decision making. Point number 3, what do you do when you're worried and stressed? Raise your hand if you have ever become stressed. I think we can all say we've been there at some point. To be clear, stress and worry are two completely different things, but they're somewhat related. Let me define this. Worry is a mental state where you focus on negative thoughts and things that could go wrong. Worry can be helpful if it leads to change, but often it doesn't. However, excessive worrying can negatively impact your emotional and physical health. Did you hear what I just said? Excessive worrying can literally physically make you sick. Stress is a psychological response to an external event. Stress can be good or bad. Good stress can be exciting and help you improve performance. If you are a basketball player, if you're a football player, if you're a golfer, whatever you do athletically, sometimes when you go up against better competition, there's a little stress for you to be better. That's not unhealthy. Bad stress can also create physical problems. Stress becomes negative when a person faces continuous challenges without relief or relaxation between challenges. It will break you down. So there's worry and there's stress. How do you manage that? It's sometimes hard. It's not that you can eliminate stress, but you can manage it. I have 2 scriptures for you. Matthew 6:34 says, "So don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will bring its own worries. Today's trouble is enough for today." In other words, focus on what's going on right now. Don't predict the next problem that you're going to experience. You know what? That's something that I used to do a lot. If I knew I was having trouble with something, if I knew I did something wrong and I was going to get in trouble for it, I would worry more and stress more about what was going to happen to me if somebody found out. I wasted a lot of time in my life worrying about things that never, ever took place. See, that's Satan, man. He gets into your brain and he wants you to think of all the negative stuff. He wants you to think of all of the bad things. So he will take you down a deep, dark path to bring you down. He wants you to stress. He wants you to worry. Don't worry or stress about tomorrow, for life is for today. Let God be in control and trust Him. Philippians 4:6 says this, "Don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Tell God what you need and thank Him for all He's done." God created you. He created you. He knew you before you were born. He knows the hairs on the top of your head. He knows everything there is to know about you. Because He designed a plan even before you were born, and it's documented on what you're going to do, on where you're going to go. Raise your hand if you think God has everything together. I do. I think God has everything together. How many of you think, you can choose to raise your hand or not. How many of you think your parents have everything together? How many of you think your school teachers have everything together? How many of you think our country has everything together? I'm going to get political for just a second. Today, the Vatican, which is the Pope, right, head of Catholicism, Pope Francis, I believe, put out a statement that basically says there's only two genders. You can't play God. I'm paraphrasing. Which is what I believe, because the Bible talks about Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve, right? It's pretty blunt and pretty specific. Why are we trying to make things more difficult? Because there are a lot of mental health challenges these days. Satan loves to get in our head. But the Pope put this statement out, and immediately our government basically is saying that, you know what, we need to support all groups. Now, okay, I'm going to love them. Like I said, I love unconditionally. Even if you don't vote the way I vote, even though you don't believe the way I believe, I'm still going to love you. That's my job. God told me I have to do that. That's what he wants me to do. I need to love everybody unconditionally. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to pray that God will work on you. I'm going to pray that God will change your stinking thinking. When we're wrong about something, I want God to change that. I'm not going to change that. I'm going to be here to influence you. I'm going to be here to guide you. But everything I say is going to be coming from the Word of God. Everything. And it's your job to challenge that. If I ever say something that is not biblical, I give you permission to challenge me. Because I want it to be. I don't ever want to misguide anybody. For both worry and stress, we can always rely on God. Tell him what you need, talk to him, and pray about it. Here's a thought. Before you ask anyone for their opinion or help, talk to God about it. That should always be your first step and not the last resort. God's plan for you is perfect. He's got you. So instead of asking friends and family first for their advice, go to God first. I'm not saying to not talk to your friends and family. That's not what I'm saying. But man, why would we not go to a perfect plan? Why would we not go to the guy that created everything and has got it all together? Why would we not start there instead of going to somebody that this is what we do, and it's painful. And you guys back me up on this. How many of you ever ask somebody something because you know they're going to agree with you? You want them to agree with you, right? You're going to ask a question, oh man, should I go out with this girl? Yeah, boy, you should go out with that girl, right? Because you know they're going to say yes. They're going to. So we garner support through people that we know, because we know how they're going to respond to us. Go to God first. Start there. Number 4, processing the fear of letting go. How to trust God. I used this example this past weekend, perhaps unsuccessfully, because it just popped into my head. I'm going to try to do a little bit better job of it right now. We've all heard of the trust fall, right? How many of you have ever participated in a trust fall? Okay, a lot of you. The example that I used this past weekend was a person that was participating in a trust fall. And basically, a trust fall, the person's standing there, they put their arms like this, right? They're typically blindfolded because you can't trust them to keep their eyes closed. And then they're supposed to fall back into somebody's waiting arms. Everybody, am I right? That's a trust fall. Well, here's the problem. I've seen a trust fall before where the person was standing here, the person was behind him, but instead of falling backwards, they fell forwards. Well, that's stupid, right? That's complete opposite of what they're supposed to do. Now, in that example, the problem wasn't that the person fell forward. That wasn't the problem. In that example, the problem was because they weren't given complete directions or instructions. If you don't know what a trust fall is, and somebody tells you, okay, I'm going to blindfold you, and you're going to fall, and I'm going to catch you, trust me. And that's all you get, what direction do you go? Nobody told me. I'm going forward. Still dumb, but, you got to give complete instructions. To me, the fear of letting go is not as much about fear, but more about lack of trust. If you fully trust someone, there is zero fear. You trust them. I remember, I'm actually going to make this a little bit conflicting. I trusted my siblings. I'm the youngest of 4, but I'm youngest by a lot. My brother is 12 and a half years older than me. My sister's 10. My other sister's 8. So I was literally an accident. So I remember they did mean things to me. They'd be out in the swing. I was like 4 or 5 years old. I was out in the swing in the backyard. They were swinging. We had this old mattress, and they would jump out of the swing and fall on the mattress. Anybody ever done that? So they put me in the swing, and they swing me, and I jump, and they pull the mattress out. We had a 4-step concrete step in the backyard that jumped down into a concrete path, and they would stand there and say, jump. And I was dumb enough to do it. And they would move. They made me eat mud pies. They put me in a dryer once and turned it on. They fed me dog food. You know those little sticky bushes that grow, they're a weed that grow in your yard? They're sticky, but, you know what I mean? They would, this is embarrassing, they would pull my diaper down and make me sit in it. That's when I wore diapers, Lily. I mean, they were mean to me. They were mean to me like Milana was mean to me this weekend. Trust issues. Do you guys have trust issues? It's easy to have trust issues when people keep messing up, right? When people keep letting you down. The trick to handling the fear of letting go is trusting that the plan is going to work as expected. Trusting that the decision you're making is the right one. Trusting that God's plan is working and in progress and you are on the right path. Have you ever gone hiking, in the woods? I remember going in Pennsylvania. I lived there for a couple of years. We went up to the woods and I went hiking. Matter of fact, I went hunting at 4 o'clock in the morning, pitch dark outside, and I'm walking down this path. There is literally, moon's not out. I mean, it is just pitch black. It was dark. I couldn't see my hand in front of my face. But I remembered the path, and so I was walking down the path. I had a flashlight, and I would turn it on every about 15 steps and just barely shine it so I could see where I was on. And so I'm walking down this path, and I step on a twig, and it snaps, and all of a sudden, I have no idea what this animal was, but it was an animal. This thing jumps up less than probably 5 yards from me over to my right. I somehow snuck up on it or woke it up, and this thing, I'm glad it didn't run towards me. I'd be dead. This thing took off and just was running through the brush. You could hear it knocking down trees. Everything. This thing was huge. I don't know what it was. Probably a deer, I hope. But it was big, right? Have you ever been out hiking and find yourself wandering off the path and having trouble getting back on it? See, if we're staying on the path God has for us, He will be the one to assist us in making sure our moves are correct. Isaiah 41:10 says, "Don't be afraid, for I am with you. Don't be discouraged, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will hold you up with my victorious right hand." I'm going to give you a big clue. God wins every time. If God's in it, he's going to win it every time. Whose team are you on? I don't like to lose. I can lose. I don't like to lose. I'm going down a really dark path here. I'm really tired of this generation being pansies. You know what? It's not participation trophies. Don't give me a trophy if I don't earn it. I think that is of the devil, because it's made us wimps. It's made us not try harder. We can squeak by because everybody's going to graduate. Tell me I'm wrong. We should want to win. God is a winner. He wins every time. Don't be afraid. He is with us. Don't be discouraged. He is our God. If you want to be a winner, make sure God is not only on your side, but he's in control. Isaiah 35:4 says, "Say to those with fearful hearts, be strong and do not fear, for your God is coming to destroy your enemies. He is coming to save you." How many of you have enemies? Raise your hand. Now, that doesn't mean they're coming out to kill you, but there are people that are against you. There are people that want to see you struggle. They want to see you fail. If God's on your side, he is there to protect us, and he is there to make us winners. Deuteronomy 31:6 says, "So be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid, and do not panic before them. For the Lord your God will personally go ahead of you. He will neither fail you nor abandon you." That's God saying, I've got your back. Your friends, your true friends, have got your back. But nobody comes as close to having your back like God's got your back. Number 5. When to actually care what others think. Managing others' opinions of you. Proverbs 29:25 says, "Fearing people is a dangerous trap, but trusting the Lord means safety." I'm going to say that in a different translation. It is dangerous to be concerned with what other people think of you. But if you trust in the Lord, you are safe. My opinion of you doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What matters is what God thinks of me. Are the decisions you're making things that God would be proud of? Are the decisions that you're making things that God would agree with? I'm not going to lie. We are all impacted by others' opinions, all of us. I'm going to tell you, I'm standing here right now, and every Monday night that I'm here, I am looking at your eyes, and I am concerned about what you're thinking about my message. Because the eye contact that you will make with me influence. See, one of the things that God gave me was the ability to read people. I can tell a lot about a person without them ever saying a word to me. And that's a gift, and I'm thankful for it. Because I can tell if I need to go in and be a little bit more soft-spoken with somebody. I can tell if I need to be a little bit more loving to somebody. I can tell if I can joke with somebody. You know what I'm saying? God's given me that ability, and I'm so thankful for it. But I stand here tonight, and I'm curious always about what you think of me. It concerns me. It's natural. Is it a positive or is it a negative thought? When you look at me and say nothing, but the look on your face tells a story, my mind can wander. Which is your current opinion of me? By a showing of hands, how many of you are concerned at times about what others think of you? I'm here to tell you that the others' opinions, positive or negative, listen to this, positive or negative should not define you. I said this a minute ago, but do you know there are people in this world that will tell you exactly what they think you want to hear? Is that helpful? Do you know there are people that will tell you things because they're intimidated by you? Do you know there are people in your life that will tell you half-truths? What does that all mean? I'll tell you what it means. It means there's only one reliable source, and that's God. I'm going to give you a break here. Our society is wrapped up around likes and positive emojis and apparently lack of punctuation. And people making us feel good about ourselves. Managing this can be a challenge in our society. So while there is only one reliable source, which is God, you should also surround yourself with people that will support you because they love you and they are also God-fearing. God loves you. I know there are a lot of people that love you too. I love you. If I allow myself to first be molded by what God thinks of me, and then by those that truly love me, and I stop there, I'll be better because of it. Did you hear? I'm going to read that again. If I allow myself to first be molded by what God thinks of me, and then by those that truly love me, and I just stop there, I will be better because of it. Only God has a plan for me that I can trust to be good. Only God has the ultimate plan for my life, and I need to tap into that and pursue what that is, because it's going to be good. It's going to be awesome. What others think or say, well, that they aren't necessarily asking God for His plan for me. So how in the world do you know if it's going to be helpful? Lastly, Galatians 1:10 says this, obviously I'm not trying to win the approval of people, but of God. If pleasing people were my goal, I would not be Christ's servant. We should try to win God's approval. And really, that should be the only approval we should pursue. Because if we pursue God's approval, all the rest of the things are going to fall into place. We must focus on trying to please God. That is all that matters. If the band or the singers and the band will get on stage, we're going to close with a few worship songs. And I want to reiterate, tonight's message was specifically for one person. Okay? One. But I think, how many of you can tell me that you can relate to it? Raise your hand if you can relate to it. So it's helpful, okay? Now here's where we can start. This is just worship songs tonight. We don't have our full band. This is where you guys can start putting God first. I don't want anybody to be a distraction. As a matter of fact, if you're checked out and you're done for the evening, you can leave. I'll see you later. But if you truly want to be closer to God, if you want to be intentional about pursuing your relationship with Him, then would you join us in a few worship songs?
Is alive, forever lifted high. walls can't deny. Your name cannot be overcome. Your name is alive, forever lifted high. Your name cannot be overcome. Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus, you silence fear. Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, 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 Jesus.
Let's just jump to the last song there.
Your mercy never fails me. All my days I've been held in your hand. The moment that I wake up till I lay my head, I will sing of the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire, darkest night. You are close like no other. I've known you as a father. I've known you as a friend. I have lived in the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. All my
So I don't know if you guys go to other youth groups, but one of the things that I want to focus on in my youth group is I want us to focus on God, period. I want us to have fun. I want you guys to enjoy each other's company. I want you to like to hang out. But at the end of the day, I could care less about your friendships and your relationships other than the fact that I need to know that you have a relationship with God. That's my focus. I love you guys. I want to be an encourager to you and a supporter of you, and I will. But when I see you making stupid decisions, I might call you out on it. Not being mean, but out of love. What happened today? So there was a unique occurrence that happened today. Anybody know what it was? Solar eclipse. How many of you watched it? Okay. So, there's a lot of speculation about the solar eclipse and the end times, because the Bible does talk about how the moon will be darkened, or the sun will be darkened by the moon. It talks about that. And there was a lot of speculation about this one. You saw the stuff on Facebook or Instagram where it talked about the symbol of that was going to be over the United States. I don't know if you guys saw this, but there was a statement that there's a symbol over the United States that was basically telling us that the end is near, right? And I'm here to tell you that the end is near. It's a lot closer than it's ever been, and I think realistically, God could come back at any moment. I don't know how much more time we have, but I do know this: you have total control of where you spend eternity. You can go to heaven, you can go to hell. It's totally your choice. Not mine. Not the person standing next to you, not your parents, not your siblings. It's yours. And it's nothing to be taken lightly. So I'm going to close in prayer, and I want you guys to think about this. How is your walk with God? Do you trust Him? What the 5 steps that we talked about tonight is really just leaning on God and letting Him be in every part of your life. That's a choice, right? You have to choose to let Him in. So as I close in prayer, I want you to think about your relationship with God. And if you need some help or guidance in your relationship with God, I'm going to give you 2 options. One, either of them, you can do either of them. You can come talk to me about it. I'm happy to talk to you about it. Or you can text me about it. Okay, my number, there's a card out on the desk that's our youth group card. It has my phone number on it. I'll give it to you if you want it, and you can text me later. But if there's things that you're struggling with, I'm here to help. I want to be helpful to you. I'm not going to, sometimes I might try to call you out in this youth service, but tonight I just don't feel like that's the right call. I think all of you need to just decide what your relationship with God is. And if you need help, I'm here. Okay, let's pray. God, thank you for this day. Thank you for once again allowing us to come on a Monday. God, I ask that the message that I spoke tonight, God, it was a sermon to one individual, and you know who that individual is. And God, I know you have a purpose for them. I know you have a direction for them. I know you have a plan for them. And God, I want this person to be encouraged by the words I spoke tonight. I want it to be something, God, that you control. God, that you guide, that you relay to them. But God, I also know that there's a lot of other young people here that could maybe need the same assistance from you. And God, my hope is tonight that you speak to their heart. God, you speak to their heart, their soul, and you let them know that you are there, you are available, and you want them to trust you. God, they know you have a plan. I have told them time and time again. They know you have a plan. But God, the plan is no good until we ask you to share it with us, and then we pursue it. And God, that's my prayer. My prayer tonight is that every young person here will decide that they don't want to go to hell. They want to go to heaven, that they want to have a fulfilled life. They want to have a great relationship with their future husband or wife. And God, they are going to pursue a relationship with you to start that process. God, I need you to guide them where I can't. God, tonight I give you all the praise and all the glory for everything that you're going to do, and I'm anxious to hear some of the great stories that's going to come out of this particular group. God, as we close this service out, I ask that you take everyone as they leave this building, God, take them home safely, protect them, and bring them back at the next appointed time. I ask this in Jesus' name. And everyone said, amen. If you need my phone number, I'll give it to you. If you want to talk